Okay, so this is an introduction to the sort of the narrative, mythologizing, writing aspect of the Ortet project. And so what I'm trying to build is this surreal fantasy video game. The style in which I'm trying to build it is in a style of sort of surrealist animation that I think of as being sort of European, maybe even Eastern European. The principal example that's inspiration to me personally is The Street of Crocodiles by the brothers Quay, who are actually American, but they're working in this more European style. Other examples are Jan Svankmajer, for me particularly his Alice in Wonderland, called just Alice, and his Dr. Faustus are both, I thought, very effective examples. Alice is probably more similar to what I'm actually making than Dr. Faustus, which is a little more live action, but both of them are inspirations to me. Other pieces are The Secret Adventures of Tom Thumb by the Bolex brothers, which is a British production in the early 90s. It was also sort of inspirational to me when I was younger. I actually haven't seen that one in years. So there's a whole genre of work that's sort of like this, and it tends to be rather dark in tone. Many of the examples that I personally like are shot in black and white or desaturated color, so there's a visual aesthetic around that stuff. That will come up in other aspects of this, but narrative-wise, they're focused on surrealism. Often, when there are narratives, they're rather abstract. It's not entirely clear what's happening, but there's sort of conceptual through lines that tie the thing together. And that's something that I would like to reproduce in this project. Obviously, I'm not the first person who has thought of making a surreal video game. Like, that's happened many times. Many very good examples out there. But it's something I want to do. So this sort of thread of work is going to be both sort of traditional writing of like what is the sequence of events that, or the more likely like the network of events that the player can experience, but also what are the visual motifs and also musical motifs that are going to tie all this together. I would like to have sort of consistent visual imagery of like particular patterns or symbolism, like visual symbolism that sort of ties things together. Similarly in music, likely there will be like spot colors that reappear in particular contexts over the course of the game. So those sorts of things. And this, I'm thinking of all of that stuff as sort of writing in a more general sense. I mean, that's what I'll be talking about in the videos on this thread. So there's going to be a bunch of those as I develop this stuff, and maybe even some where I sit down and sort of look at some of those inspirations, like maybe sit and rewatch The Street of Crocodiles and sort of go through and talk about what it is I felt was interesting there in similar pieces. Explore some others, because there's a lot of things in this genre that I haven't personally seen, so should go watch those as inspiration. Even like, Svankmajer's last film, Insects, I have actually not yet seen. So that might be a component of this as well. So those will be in the mix, and I hope you'll come and watch them.